Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, my guest is Alex Recouso, founder of Baseflow, an innovative startup that is bringing freedom as a service to you. They are automating parts of the high-touch world of residency and internationalization, and it'll be very interesting to talk to him about the direction things are headed in the future. So, Alex, welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you calling in from?
So right now, I'm in Spain. That's where I'm from. Even though now, I'm based in Lisbon.
hmm I'm calling in from Mexico City, but I was just over in Lisbon for a couple months. I absolutely love it. And in this episode, we'll talk a little bit about Portugal and the benefits that that has for everyone, but Europeans especially. Um, but yeah, maybe you could kick us off, Alex, by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into this world.
Yeah, sure. So to be honest, I've been interested in the flag theory since a really young age. I think I discovered it when I was like probably 14 years old or so. I was learning day trading. Don't ask me why, but flag theory was like really popular among like these groups of day traders and stuff like that. And that really clicked on me, and I got really interested into all this stuff, about planting your flags in different countries, like having your residence in one place, also having a second passport to protect you from states and governments, and also having assets offshore and stuff like that. So um, like I said, I got into that at a really young age, and that kind of um, stopped there. Like it didn't go farther. But also at the same time, when I was 16, 17, I really started, to get into building businesses. I built my first company. It was an e-commerce when I was 16, 17. And then my first startup when I was 18. In college, it was like a mobile app to finding partners.
hmm
But yeah, like I really got interested into, startups, technology and stuff like that. And so when the pandemic hit, I got into the crypto rabbit hole. And also at the same time, I started following Balaji Srinivasan, the former CTO at Coinbase, who was talking a lot about, not only crypto, but also network states and how these
hmm
crypto NFTs and tokens, they were bringing together communities that eventually, they could lead to countries themselves and nations. And it was at that time when I really started thinking about that, thinking also about digital nomadism, how these people that were traveling around the world, how they could set up their residency in the most optimal way, and their passports and whatnot. And since I had discovered the flag theory at a really young age, that really
hmm
resonated with me. um, so in the summer of 2020, I started working on like a project to try to automate all the legal and tax stuff for digital nomads, trying to
hmm
build like this sort of one-stop platform where you could just say, hey, I think in these countries this is my residency, or I want to move it to this other place. And that's how I found out that it was super complex, because in the end it's an algorithm, it's a set of rules.
It's
Each
true.
country has its set of rules, but it's so complex to try to tackle it all at once, and build all this comprehensive one-stop platform from scratch all at once. And I kind of left the idea there. But then when I saw that Spain was releasing this new digital nomad visa, I was like, hey, maybe it would be great to start just with one solution, with one place, start helping people move to Spain. And that's how I got the idea for Baseflow, and then slowly integrating more and more countries. Uh, Eventually, I didn't end up starting with Spain, because they announced the visa, but then they delayed a lot uh, in their approval, and really giving more real information about it. And so I decided to start with Portugal. And at that point, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna move to Portugal myself. I like it so much." And yeah, I'm gonna be my first client, and yeah, that's how I got there.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Be your first client. And just for a little bit more background, where in Spain are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Coruña. It's like a small city in the northwest of Spain.
Okay.
Even though I was also living in Madrid for around 3 years before moving to LA to study at USC.
Yeah, Coruña looks beautiful. And I guess for a little bit of added continuity, we always like to do this at the beginning of the episode. Is a previous podcast guest who is Joey Langenbrunner. With Joey, we talked a lot about residency in El Salvador. We talked about the Portugal program as well. Very interesting international guy, and I think you guys are sort of now starting to work together on Baseflow. And when I saw the idea for Baseflow, I immediately got it. I could tell that you probably took a lot of the inspiration from Rebase from Peter Level's idea. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, actually, it was around that time, when I saw the announcement of the Spanish digital nomad visa, that Rebase got started with Portugal. In the end, I was like, yeah, I mean, Portugal is better right now. I understand why they're starting with Portugal, because, like I said, Spain just announced it but didn't have any infrastructure in place, whereas Portugal, it was ready to go. So yeah, the initial purpose is really similar, even though there are some difference that we can get in later if that's interesting.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think Rebase, which is Peter Level's startup, is a very interesting model. Peter Levels obviously being the guy behind Nomad List. So I think most people are familiar with Nomad List. And Peter Levels, is all about async and basically having a calendar with no meetings, no phone calls. And so he applied that async mindset to residency. And he said, why do I need to talk to all these advisors? At the end of the day, I'm basically just, uploading my birth certificate. You know what I mean? Like, why is there so many like high touch points to this? And so he thought about basically automating aspects of this process. And so Peter Levels started with Portugal for a number of reasons, obviously because it's attractive from a tax perspective, but then also it just, I guess, was a relatively easy program to automate. And so he set up the website and got to a point where I think he was processing more than 10% of all Portugal NHR applications, which is really, really impressive. And I would really hope that that model of sort of automated async residency inspires other people to do it with other countries around the world. And I have similar ideas of coding up something like that myself. But yeah, tell us about how maybe Baseflow and Rebase are different.
Yeah, so honestly, that you mentioned about being fully async and all of that, I think it's one of the main differences, because we fully eliminated the human element in terms of what the user perceives. So when you sign up, for example, at Rebase, you need to pay for like an onboarding call
Yep.
that the lawyers are doing for free, if I'm not mistaken. And
Correct.
then if you decide to continue with the process, then they sell the lead to the law firm, at zero profit. And that's something that we really try to make different, because we want to align incentives better, in the sense that we are not doing onboarding calls, because in the end, we think it's first, unscalable, because it doesn't allow you to achieve software margins first, and then it's also annoying for the lawyers because they have to explain the same thing every time, whereas you can
Right.
have like Stripe Atlas for company and corporation. You just can have a really good and comprehensive documentation, and the user can read it, can go over it, and answer all of their questions, without needing to actually talk to a person. Of course, there are some cases that are more on the edge, and they are not so standard, And so far, we have only been working with like the super straightforward standard cases, like going back again to the Stripe Atlas example. If you have a company that deals with, I don't know, gangs or I don't know, drugs or stuff like that, they are not going to allow you to incorporate with Stripe Atlas because they really want to, have like the typical tech startup going through their process, because it's going to be the same process for all those tech startups. So we are taking that approach to residency and, helping all these digital nomads, remote workers and whatnot, that in the end, it's the same profile. Um, and so that's something that we changed, and so what we decided to do is say, hey, here you have all this documentation. If you have any doubt, of course you can reach out to the customer support. We think that's very important. But we don't want to by default do onboarding calls. um, and then something that we want to do is like to, again, same as Stripe Atlas, own the process in the sense that, of course, we are not a law firm. We are not going to do all the legal processes because we are just a software company. But we provide you the support through all the whole process. And if you have any problem, you can reach out to us. And in the end, we are there through the whole process. It's not like we sell the lead to a law firm, and then you have to talk with the
So
lawyers.
you do it in house, basically.
We don't do it in house because we are not a law firm. So for example, the power of attorney that the client is gonna sign is gonna be
Hmm.
with a law firm. It's gonna be with a lawyer,
Right.
because we can't do that because
But you basically like continue to manage the process. Whereas with Rebase, like you said, it's basically like a referral program, I
yeah,
suppose you could say.
it's not like fully a referral program, because in the end, they have the platform, and the lawyers are I suppose like managing the process through the platform. But what we try to do is like internalize it as much as possible without, of course, getting in legal matters that we can't get into because we are not a law firm.
Hmm.
But doing as much as we can. Also, to put another example, we have made partnerships with housing providers, with phone providers, with private mailbox providers. So
That's cool.
you can have all these services, because what we really want to do is like provide as much support as needed through the process of moving to a country. So it's, of course, the most obvious pain is the legal stuff. And for that you need a lawyer, and we're gonna connect you with a lawyer. We can't do it in house, but we want you to support you and to be like an easier channel of communication, maybe between you and the lawyers, so you don't have to be chasing them over email and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's key. I almost want to get into some of those details about how that might work. Is Portugal pretty good about virtual mailboxes and getting like an address that you can ship stuff to? And tell me
Yeah,
about that.
that was something that was kind of hard to find, because I think maybe it's not as common as, for example, in the US, where you have many providers. But we found one that has like multiple locations across Portugal, and we got a discount from them for our users.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that that's something really interesting, especially for people that they arrive to the country, they don't know yet where they are gonna be long term, but they need a place to be sending their stuff and receiving their documents and letters. And so I think that's something really really convenient. And of course, in the future, the long term vision is to be able to integrate all these services. Be able to, for Baseflow, to allow you to get a private mailbox straight from Baseflow, or open a bank account straight away for our users. Right now, we are, of course, outsourcing everything, because these guys are gonna do the private mailbox thing better than us, because that's what they do. Or the housing marketplaces like Spot a Home, they're gonna be better. But of course, at some point, you can think of virtually infinite ways to vertically integrate services, because the mobility and relocation industry, it's really fragmented.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, it's first of all convenient to have all these services in one place. But then, if one player can provide all these services, it's even more convenient.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good idea to bring in as much as you can because there's so many services that you need when you move to a new country. And so, walk us through the steps a little bit, specifically with Portugal. Maybe we'll get into the other ones, services that you have after, because I saw that you have Delaware LLCs, you have Spanish passports, which I thought was interesting. But keeping the topic on Portugal, like what is the exact process? How long would it take to get set up? And then at what point can you open bank accounts and get an address and so forth?
Yeah, we are not doing Spanish passport. We are launching next week, like some of these CBI programs that Joey has worked with before,
Yeah,
in the
Joey
past.
Langenbrunner. Yeah, he
Yeah,
wants to do
exactly,
like Bitcoin
and
passport stuff.
yeah, and he has been like really helpful in making the connections and helping us launch that as soon as possible. So that's like the next step after Portugal. And yeah, in terms of the Portuguese residency, it's a variable timeline depending whether you are European, like an EU
Right.
citizen or not. Because if you are an EU citizen, the process is really really straightforward. It can be done in a matter of days. Um, we just need some basic information from them, like personal information and stuff like that. And after that, we are able to get the Portuguese tax ID number. And of course, like at any time of the process, the person can actually go to Portugal because as European, there's no limit on the entry. um, so yeah, after we get the NIF, we help them register at the city hall, so they get their certificate of residency, and then get an account in the Portuguese tax authority's website, register as Portuguese tax resident, and then apply for NHR to get the special tax benefits. Um, the lawyers are gonna take care of that. We just help you manage it through our platform, so it's more convenient for both parties. And then we provide all these adjacent services like housing, getting a private mailbox, a phone, and stuff like that. And so if you are not European, like from the EU, the process is a bit different, because
Hmm.
before actually going to Portugal, you will need to get a visa. What we're doing right now is like working with people that are getting digital nomad visas. So the process is not really that hard, uh, but you just need to go to a Portuguese embassy or consulate, make sure that you have all the documents. With some of them we can really help you because, for example, getting the Portuguese tax ID or opening a Portuguese bank account, that's something that we can help you with. But
Uh-huh.
then there are others that are like really dependent on your country of origin. For example, you need to show proof of clean criminal record, and in the end, that's different in every country. So that's something that you would have to kind of do on your own if you are from the US requesting it to the FBI or wherever. If
Hmm.
you are from Spain, requesting it on a different, like to a different authority. But then once you have the visa, and you are able to visit the country, get your long-term residence permit, and then the process is pretty much the same. But like I said, it's gonna depend on the timeline from the Portuguese embassy that you apply at. So it might take as much as 6 months. But then the rest of the process, like registering as tax resident, it's pretty straightforward, and it can be done in days.
Hmm. So yeah, obviously process is a little bit different for Canadians, Americans versus Europeans because they have freedom of movement in the EU. So let's say, you get through the process, you officially become a resident of Portugal, you get approved. What's next? So I'm an approved guy, I'm in Portugal, the world is my oyster. What do I want to do next? I want to sign up for public health care. I want to maybe get a tax ID. I want to get a phone number, bank account, driver's license. What else? The mailbox you said.
Yeah, for example, also things like getting the social security number and registering as freelancer if you need to become a freelancer. And also something really interesting that you mentioned before is the opening or incorporating a company, and that's something that we currently don't do because Stripe Atlas does it so well, like allowing you to incorporate LLCs in Delaware from anywhere in the world. They do it so well that we are just referring anybody that wants to incorporate a company in the US to use their service. And
Gotcha.
also there are many other services like, I don't know, Cap Base or Autonomous. There are many companies that are focusing on that. So that's not something that we are really trying to do. We want to focus more on solutions for individuals, like in this case, Portuguese residency, or what's next. That is, passports, and like helping people get citizenship by investment or by donation.
Okay. And just keep walking us through the game plan of like what we can get done once we become a resident.
Yeah. So we offer an annual subscription that is to cover just the ongoing legal representation costs. We are also trying to connect you with lawyers that can help you with the tax filing, so that's also more convenient. Actually, the vision is to have everything that you would need. First, of course, legally talking, but then also, like you were mentioned, in other aspects of life, like finding a place to live, getting a phone, a Portuguese phone number, getting an eSIM through Iralo. We also have a partnership with them, or even things like working in remote. We have just closed a partnership with Deal to offer you a discount in case you either want to hire people through Deal or to get hired through Deal. I think that's something really convenient, and that's something that they are doing really well.
Yeah, very cool. Um, Maybe tell us a little bit more about Portugal from a lifestyle perspective, because you've lived in the US as well. You spent some time at USC. Uh, how would you compare living in the US versus living in Portugal? And I guess Portugal versus Spain as well. What are some of the benefits or nuances of Portugal versus Spain?
Yeah, so I would say that Spain is sorry, Portugal is quite similar to Spain, especially the region I'm originally from in Spain, that is like the northwest Galicia. We also speak Galician, that up
Which
until
is very similar, right?
yeah, up until the 15th or 16th century, it was basically the same language. It was Galician Portuguese, and then they diverged, and now we have Galician, and there's also Portuguese in Portugal and Brazil. But that's something really nice because the language barrier is not so big for me, and in terms of the culture, it's also like really similar, the culture in Portugal to the culture in Galicia, even more than in some other regions of Spain compared to Galicia. Um, so yeah, that's something that I really liked. Also, the food is so nice. Like in Spain, but also the gastronomy is more similar to the one in Galicia, like more seafood, um, and stuff like that, which I really like. And also compare with the US, it's a no-brainer. Like the quality of the food. I mean, in the US you can also get like really good food, especially where I was in LA, in California. But you have to pay a lot for it, and it's not really like accessible. So at that point, you are kind of making a trade-off. Whereas in Portugal, you can have a really good meal for like 15 euros, and that's something I really value. I also worry a lot about health and stuff like that. So that's something really important. And also, I'm writing a blog post on this, like when I made the decision to move from California, from LA to Portugal, and something that I really took into consideration was the weather. The weather is so nice, especially in the south of Portugal, like from Lisbon till the southern parts of Portugal. It's super sunny. It's warm year round, and that's something that uh, I find really nice too. I like surfing, so that's great. Um, and yeah, and then comparing also like the lifestyle and meeting people. I think Portugal is especially Lisbon is way more international than, for example, Madrid, where I was where I have lived
Really? You
too.
think so?
Yeah, yeah, like many more people speak English in Lisbon. uh you also
It's
see
good to know.
like yeah, lots of expats, foreigners that then in Madrid, I still feel that, like, of course, it's a big European city, it's international, but in Lisbon, you really feel that, like, there are lots of expats that are not only visiting, but they are living there. And, that's something that, I personally like. Maybe, there are different opinions if you ask a Portuguese that has been living his or her entire life in Lisbon, and now they see lots of expats coming to live there. In the end, I think that's something positive, because in the end these expats have higher purchasing power, and they are gonna spend money in the country. They are gonna generate jobs, but of course, on the other side of the coin, you have like the local Portuguese that maybe work in primary industries, and they're like being pushed away of the cities. uh of course, I understand it's not nice for them in some ways. But in the end, I think immigration, especially qualified immigration, is always a net positive for a country. You have the example of the US that was built by immigrants, basically. If you think about it, there are some statistics, for example, in the US about the Fortune 500 companies that have been built either by first or second generation immigrants. And like, I don't know the exact number, but I'm gonna say it's roughly around 60-70% of the companies that have been built by first or second generation immigrants. And if you think about it, in the end, immigrants are more risk taking, and you know I really think, I'm really convinced that one of the keys to unlocking innovation in a country and unlocking economic progress, it's having, like, really pro immigration policies. And that's something that, for example, I don't like about the US right now, is that they make it so difficult for people to move there, especially even qualified people. um, for example, in Europe, I would also say that we have a demographic problem, and we need basically more people. That's it. Point. We need more people. But especially if you don't need more people because you already have like a well structured demographic population pyramid, it's still good for the country to allow these immigrants to come and create jobs and bring change to the country. Of course, there are gonna be some like short-term downsides. For example, with gentrification, I understand that it might be not so nice for the locals, but I think it's in the short term. It's like, if you think about Ludits and going against technology, of course, technology might destroy jobs in the short term, but I really think in the long term, it's a net positive for everybody. Uh, I'd rather be poor nowadays than be rich in the 1600s. So yeah, if you think in the long term, I think technology is a no-brainer and immigration is a no-brainer. um, so yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, let's talk more about the idea of freedom as a service and just sort of continue to double down on our previous conversation about making things frictionless and sort of the future of where things are headed. Um, and actually, before we get to that, let's talk a bit about Pioneer and about how with Baseflow you actually went through a accelerator program or an incubator program in Silicon Valley. So you applied with Baseflow, with your idea, with your MVP to Pioneer. I guess got accepted, spent some time in the Valley. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, yes. So Pioneer has been, a great experience for me. They have like this format where there's an open competition that you can just opt in, start submitting weekly updates, and then other founders will start upvoting or downvoting your updates. And then once you reach the top 50 global, the team can select you as pioneer. And when they select you, uh, they give you some funding and they put you through their startup acceleration program. So I did it when I was in LA, like the 2 month online acceleration program. And then I did the extra 1 month in SF, like in person program, working, in an office with the team, with the pioneer team, and also, living with other pioneers. And honestly, like it was great. We were able to have some mentors. Yeah, I can only say good things about it, especially for people that are just starting out with their projects. Because also, like, something that has been really nice for me is that the pioneer community is really global. The people that are participating in
Hmm.
the competition are from all over the world. So that's how, for example, I got some of my first customers through Pioneer, just saying, "Hey, I'm building this," and these people found it helpful, and that has been great for me. That's also why up until this day, I keep participating, maybe not every week or being as consistent as I used to, but I try to participate from time to time, because it's always nice to bring more eyes to what you're building, especially from people that are also builders, and can have like a critic eye, uh, and give you some constructive feedback, and also might be interested in it. So I think, like I said, it's great, especially if you are just starting out, because it also allows you to have this sort of
Yeah.
accountability before you even have a team or whatever.
And what's interesting is that I guess like an immigration as a service company is not a typical Silicon Valley startup, and so it's a little bit. There was probably a lot of decisions or unique aspects to what you're doing, where you had to sort of figure out how to set up what you're doing in a way that's um, that works with Silicon Valley, right? Because they're all about being able to scale things and being able to have a repeatable model and being able to invest equity into it in order to scale faster and so forth. And so you had to ensure that what you're doing at Baseflow was a repeatable model, because a lot of this immigration as a service stuff is very boutique, it's very bespoke and high touch, but we need to make it more commoditized, right?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like that's kind of the mission of Baseflow. It's just to have this tech product that allows you to move countries in a way that feels like the 21st century, not the 20th century. That of course, like if you have the economical resources to pay thousands of dollars to a law firm and have, like you said, this more boutique experience, that's nice. But in the end, I believe mobility should be a fundamental human right. So making it as accessible as possible. You know, I think it's something that it's really worth working on. And also what you were mentioning about the Silicon Valley way of doing things. Uh, in the end, I see it as beneficial because they are pushing the project, or I am pushing the project in this direction. So being able to grow fast aligns well with what I want to do, because I wanted to make it as accessible as possible to
Hmm.
more people. And then of course, being able to have a repeatable model, I see it as something good, and being able to drive down costs, that's also good, because that's what's going to allow me to drive down price also. So
Yeah. So what can we do to drive down costs in this industry?
yeah, so first of all, the obvious is to automate what can be automated, eliminate what can be automated. And especially after you have a high volume of people, I think that's the point where you can start, really optimizing processes. But of course, you're gonna reach certain threshold where you can't, you know, optimize further. And so I really think, like, the end game for something like this is to be able to integrate directly with government APIs. So at
Yeah, that'd
some
be
point, if
crazy.
someone wants to become a Portuguese resident, and we need to get a tax ID for them, instead of having them to sign a power of attorney with a lawyer, so the lawyer can go in person to Portuguese authorities building and hand some documents in paper. If instead of that we can just directly link to the with the Portuguese government APIs and automatically submit everything. That's the point where you can achieve software level margins. You need two things: either a government that is really like pro tech, and they really want to do this, and that's, for example, the case of Singapore, that they have a bunch of companies that can do e-residencies and stuff like that. And then on the other hand, you can also, I believe, push it in a way. If you know you are bringing 1,000, 2,000, or 10,000 people a year to the country, maybe at some point the government realizes, hey, maybe we can make this easier. So actually, we can 10x this number.
Yeah, there's kind of two sides of it. It's like you can get better at preparing things for the government application, or the government can make things easier for the applicants. And so, in an ideal world, the government would be sort of making things easier for applicants, and maybe making it easier to upload documents online and so forth. But in the absence of that, at very least, there's a lot of work that we can do on our side to help automate the process and prepare things better for the application.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it, like, obviously you can make sort of a software or whatever where you can upload your documents, upload your birth certificate, police check, marriage certificate, and then you can either have that manually looked over by someone to ensure that there's no inconsistencies, that all the documents have been uploaded correctly, that we have everything we need, or like the next level would be actually having like AI and machine learning being able to sort of read over these documents and check that all the dates match, check that you have all the documents you need, stuff like that. Have you gone? Like, what are you guys doing in that direction?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's something that could be improved. But in the end, the governments are still using people. So, of course, the idea in an ideal world, it would be like the government who was using these sort of systems to kind of review everything. But um, if you need someone from the government to be approving your visa or reviewing your documents, that's a bottleneck in the end. So even if you as a company review everything, uh, even if it's correct, it's gonna be delayed by the bottleneck that it's the government
Right, right.
itself.
Yeah, the government's,
So
I guess, always going to be a bottleneck unless they really, really make it a priority. But
yeah,
there's still a lot that we can do on our side to sort of make things
yeah,
more efficient. Because, like, it's been many times where I've been going through a process, and only like I've given them all the documents they need, but only weeks later or months later they go, "Oh, actually, like, you need something else, or this isn't matching," things like that, and they
yeah,
should have been on it way earlier.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
And so obviously you can have someone manually check that over, right? You have like your Portuguese lawyer, like you guys probably have, a Portuguese law firm that you work with or whatever. You hand over the documents to your Portuguese law firm. You say, "Hey, look this over, make sure this is good to go before we submit it." But a next level would be to maybe have like a pre-screening, and maybe have like some AI do it, or at least some sort of like
Yeah,
software element that can check over the documents first.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
Have you done anything like that, or like how does it work? So someone maybe puts all their documents in a Dropbox file or something, and then you have your team manually look it over, or how
Yeah,
does that sort of
basically,
screening work?
yeah, like I said, in the end, the law firm is doing all of these processes, so they want to manually review it. In the end, if you want to work with them, it's better to not change a lot the way they do things. So yeah, I mean that's a great idea to do in the future, like kind of a pre-screening. But like, to be honest, nowadays, since it is not like really complex what you need to move to Portugal, and people usually upload it well the first time. um, for the ones that don't, it causes like a bit delay of some hours or some days even.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's not the main focus right now. But yeah, it's something that sounds really interesting to work on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So what if someone, they pay the fee, $1,000, whatever it is, on, they buy it on a credit card, they upload their documents. What if you kind of find out that they're not eligible for whatever reason? Then you just like they already paid at that point and you refund them, or do you check the documents over before they pay?
If of course we still go over, each client to see that they are eligible, and before we approve the application. If it is a case where the client can't go through the process because it's their fault and we have already incurred in some costs, we're gonna issue like a partial refund, that it's gonna be at our discretion, because we have also pay the lawyers and go through the process. But if it's something like that we see that's really obvious, that that they won't be able to make it, before we even approve the application, we say, hey,
Right.
we think you are not
So
suitable
I
for
guess there's
this.
two situations. One is they just straight up are not eligible for whatever reason, and then
Yeah,
the other situation is that they're just missing a document and they need to go get it from, I guess,
yeah, for example, yeah,
from
if
their
they are
home
missing a
government.
document.
And the
Yeah,
issue is it can often take months. Like in Canada, to get a police check or birth certificate now it used to take a couple weeks, but I don't know, with COVID or whatever, it's taking months now. So it's really, really delaying things. And so, it's kind of a weird situation for you guys because I guess someone's already paid, but then you can't even start the service till like 6 months later when they get everything. How do you deal with that?
we can start the process because, for example, before getting a visa, you need to get a Portuguese tax ID number, you need to open a bank account. So there are some things that you really, you not only can do before, you know, getting to Portugal, but you need to do because you need to have them before getting the visa. Um, so there are of course some people that wait until they know they have everything before actually paying for the service and going through it. And there are others that are like, hey, I'm just gonna pay now and secure this, so they can also help me gather everything, help me make sure I have everything, before
Hmm.
I even get my visa. um, but yeah, like I said, in the end, that's a personal decision.
Okay, cool. Because I feel like that's part of it. Is it's like everyone's like ready to go. They're like, yeah, let's get the residency, blah blah blah. And then it's like, no, you need a document, and it's gonna take you 6 months.
Yeah, that's something we also want to be really upfront about. Is all the documents that you need, especially if you are from outside the EU, and be really clear that you need to make sure that you're gonna be able to get that, and that it might take longer. But like I said, for Europeans, it's really really straightforward, and that's also why we chose to start with Portugal.
Hmm. And do you do like combination services for people as well? Like if they want to get the Portuguese residency and the US LLC and maybe a Spanish digital nomad visa, stuff like that. Do you put things together as a package?
Yeah, not currently, because like I said, the only thing we are working on right now it's Portugal. We are starting to do like the CBI passport programs very soon, and as soon as we have that, probably we would uh, help users combine several solutions.
Hmm.
But so far, it has been just Portugal, so not really.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So what are some of the benefits of Portugal as a base?
Yeah, so first of all, like I've said, I think it's a great place to live. Great weather, people are really friendly, the culture is great. But also, in terms of taxes and more on the financial side, I think it's one of the best places in Europe. Um, Especially if you are, well, not so much into crypto, because that changed this year. It used to be 0%, now it's just 0% if you hold it for more than 1 year. That I think it's great. I'm a long-term guy, so I don't really care about that. And then there's also like 0% tax on wealth, 0% tax on foreign income and dividends, 10% tax on pension, so it's also great for pensioners. 20% tax on freelancing. And also, it allows you to get a Portuguese passport in around 5 years, which I
Hmm.
also think it's great if you are from outside the EU. Um, so yeah,
Do you think you're going to do that? Are you going to become a dual Spanish Portuguese citizen?
yeah. If I can, probably yes, because like I said, I think everyone should be given the choice of getting as many passport citizenships and wherever as they like. That's also why I'm a really big supporter of the network state, because I really believe in people opting in the governance systems that they want to adhere to. So yeah, that's something that I'm definitely interested in. But yeah, like I was saying, all these tax benefits are really great, but it's kind of a shame that it's only for foreigners. I understand that the Portuguese government wants to incentivize people going there, and of course, this is doing it because the program is great. But there's the same problem as in Spain. As a Spanish in Portugal, I'm getting all these benefits, but if I was, a Portuguese in Portugal, I wouldn't get them, or a Spanish in Spain, I wouldn't get them. But if I was a Portuguese in Spain, I would. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I guess as an aside, have you, since you're so familiar with this world of internationalization and Plan Bs and residencies and stuff, have you done any other programs yourself? Like, have you done any programs in Latin America or I don't know, Dubai, anything like that?
No, no, I haven't. I Like I said, I moved from Spain to the US, and then back to the US, from the US to Portugal. Um, and the only thing that I have been doing with regards to that matter is joining network states, because I really resonate with their ethos. At some point, I think I will probably go through one of these CBI programs, or something like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, so far just the Portuguese residency and some network states from which I'm a citizen. But yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. When you guys do start the CBI program, what country do you guys think you're going to start with first?
It's likely gonna be Antigua and Barbuda, because we have already talked with some registered agents there. Um, so yeah, I think it's a great program too. We are also looking into San Lucia, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, but I think Antigua and Barbuda is gonna be the one we are gonna start with.
Nice. And why would that be?
First of all, because we have already soft commitments from these registered agents to start working with them as soon as the platform is ready. And also, like, of course, it's one of the most popular programs. We think it's great, and yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What do you think are some of the other products that you would have in the future? Like, have you looked into Latin America specifically?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I have a good friend of mine who is from Mexico, and I see lots of digital nomads, remote workers moving from the US to Mexico to live and work there. So probably, something Mexico, Costa Rica. I know it's also really friendly to digital nomads, in Paraguay too. I've heard about their residency program. Lots of people are doing that right now too. So that's the ones that come to my mind as a first thought.
Paraguay and Mexico?
Yeah, in Costa Rica too, probably.
Costa Rica, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you looked into Costa Rica? How would that work? Would people be doing the 60K bank deposit or a different way?
Honestly, I haven't looked much about it. A good friend of mine, I'm aware that he lived there for a while. He's like a digital nomad, and he talked really well about it. But like I said, I'm laser focused right now on Portugal and trying to launch this Antigua and Barbuda program as soon as possible. So I haven't really looked into it.
Hmm.
But like I said, I've heard that it's great. I would probably have to do a lot of research on it first. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I have an idea that I'm gonna toss by you, um, which is because I was just thinking about the bank deposit thing. So there's obviously a lot of programs out there in the world where you can get residency if you make a real estate investment.
Mhm.
But at this point in time, it's not very fluid in most countries to actually make that real estate investment. You're gonna have to go find it yourself. You're going to have to be quite involved in the process. It's going to be annoying. But if you're a high net worth individual, right, and a $200,000 investment in an apartment isn't really a big deal for you, and you just want it done for you, right? We need more services like that where it's just like, okay, I want to do Turkey, I want to do Malaysia, I want to do Panama, whatever it is, right? But I don't want to actually have to look for the place. Maybe I don't even want to live there. Maybe I just want it like rented out or something for a a modest yield after I make that investment. Let's set up basically a firm or a program that we have the investment ready to go for you. We can basically guarantee that it's going to yield some percentage. When all you got to do is basically send the wire transfer over and we'll like get everything done for you. So basically like investment residency as a service.
Yeah, that's a great idea. To be honest, like I said, as soon as you start getting into this, you can think of many adjacent services that make sense. uh, that's one of them. Like I said, I think it's a great idea. I would have to really get into the legal details, because also that, like, many of these countries require that the wire is made on your name, and that in some cases, the client or the beneficiary of the passport is making the wire directly.
Hmm.
So maybe acting as an intermediary in that way. Like, maybe it couldn't be done directly in that way, but yeah, I'm sure, like, facilitating, like, looking for properties, or at some point, the same way I'm talking about finding a place to live in Portugal, I could be talking about finding a place to buy in one of these countries, like you said. And yeah, basically, having them aggregated into Baseflow, and you just click the one that you like. You
Yeah, because obviously there's some programs where you can just show a bank balance. There's some programs where you show passive income. There's some programs where you invest in a CD, a certificate of deposit. There's some programs where you got to buy real estate. So there's sort of different ways to get the residency. But at the end of the day, it can all be more or less automated, or at least a lot more steps than currently are. And how great would it be if we can get to a point, an online checkout cart, and it's like Mexican residency, Paraguay residency, buy now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just buy, like you could just get multiple at once. You don't have to talk to anyone. It's just a buy now button
Yeah,
and kick it
exactly.
off.
And also, I think that's something really important in making it mainstream, because many people nowadays still don't consider that it's something that they need, or that they want, like, to have a second passport. And if you can make it just not seem sketchy, not seem like something from James Bond, or something that a spy would do, just something that a normal person would do, just to protect themselves from local politicians. And a good analogy that Joey usually uses is that, if you have two parents, if one says, hey, you can't go out, but the other one says, yeah, go out, then they're gonna have to discuss between them. Whereas we have seen with the pandemic, if one country says no, you are locked in here, and you are locked in. You don't have uh, a way out of that country, even if it's your home country or whatever. And it's just a way to protect yourself, to protect your life, your assets, from government decisions. And in the end, something that I also really like to think about is the way that, for example, Bitcoin created like monetary sovereignty, in the sense
Hmm.
that you can not only own your own money, but also with crypto you can create your own money. And I like to think about all this residency passport governance stuff, about allowing people to be truly sovereign in their governance decisions, and really deciding which governance providers they want to use, which services they want to pay for, and which ones they don't. So yeah, man,
Hmm.
really excited to be working on this.
Yeah, crypto is another rabbit hole. I don't even want to get into that. I did have a question about Portugal, which is Madeira. And I know that there's like special tax benefits for starting companies in Madeira, and it can even be one of the most beneficial places to incorporate in all of Europe. And I was wondering if you've looked into that and have considered offering something around Madeira in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I am aware that they offer some benefits in the local um, spectrum. But that's something that I'm not really looking to do in the future right now. Maybe of course some things can change, or I can just change my mind, or get some people request it. And currently I'm more focused on being able to integrate something like Stripe Atlas, with which I think it's a really good product. It's really straightforward to have
Hmm.
like just an LLC, or even a company in Estonia that is still inside of the EU. So that's not something I've been really looking to. um, Also, like I said, we are really focused on the individuals, and giving them tools to be more free, and not so much on companies and company incorporation, because there are so many firms that are focused on that. You have, for example, Deal in Remote, that allow you to hire people in remote. Deal just bought Capbase, that allows you to incorporate companies. Then you have, of course, Stripe Atlas. You have Autonomous, that allows you to incorporate companies anywhere in the world. So I think there are many players in that industry, but in the industry of focusing on individuals and helping them get residency, of course there are players, because there are many law firms, but there are not really like many tech-enabled players.
Hmm. Hmm. What was some of the, speaking of tech, like what was some of the advice you got when you were in Silicon Valley about this industry? I bet a lot of the mentors and so forth had some ideas around it.
Yeah, so to be honest, like the biggest criticism that I have received is that the market was not big enough for something like this, because always in Silicon Valley they like to think big, and they like to think global and make global products.
Hmm.
So whenever I talked about Portuguese residency, they were like, "Oh yeah, the market is not big enough." But I don't know. Like I think that people that really get it, and that are really familiar with, like you said, internationalization and global mobility and stuff like that, they really get it, because it's obviously just you have to start with something. In our case, Portuguese residency, but as soon as you have that, probably that the people that were interested in moving to Portugal, they would also be interested in getting a second passport, or in moving eventually to other country once the tax benefits
Hmm.
expire. So I really think that the market for something like this is really big. The only thing is that, as I was explaining before, it's something that is currently not mainstream. It's an industry that, in my opinion, is still developing, and you still have to, create a category around it. Same as, if you said to someone 10 years ago that you would hop on a stranger's car, it would be crazy. But now, everybody uses Uber. So the same way, I think nowadays, if you if you tell someone that you are getting a second passport, if they are normies, if
No, I
maybe
get it.
they, yeah.
So the mentors were like, "Look, how are we going to make this $1 billion company?" And you said, "Oh, we can upsell other services like CBI and whatever virtual mailbox, whatever. Were they into that, or I bet they wanted to see more in order to get this thing to $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think if I can really make it work for a bunch of residencies, a bunch of passports, and really ease immigration to those countries, I think no, it's gonna be a huge business. Also, like if you just think about Portugal, around 64,000 people move to Portugal every year. So at $1,000 each, that's already $64 million in revenue. So yeah, and for example, with passports, there's much more money on it. So I don't really think it's a question of is it gonna be big. The real question is like, can you make it work first? Technologically, which I think yes we can, of course,
Hmm.
but then also like can you actually get people to use you instead of one of the legacy solutions like a traditional law firm and stuff like that. And that's something that we are currently that's currently our main focus. Like I said, we are kind of evangelizing the category because people are just used to use law firms and traditional services for something like this. So being a startup that is doing this, it's something new, and I think that the beginning it's always hard.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So prove out the model first,
Yeah,
get the well-oiled machine running, and then kind of figure out how to scale from
yeah.
there. By the way, like, did you guys like other than Pioneer, have you taken on equity investment? Have you done a seed round?
No, we haven't raised any more money besides Pioneer. Uh, Maybe in the future we do. If we think that money is the bottleneck to be able to scale at that moment, we are probably gonna do it because the company is structured to follow that route of VC funding and growing fast, and that's what I really want. To grow fast and make it as accessible to as many people as possible. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Man, I have so many ideas around this, and I think this is definitely the direction to go. Who, by the way, like who actually like coded things up? Like, is there a web app workflow? I can't immediately tell just from the homepage.
Yeah, me. I code. So it's not like really heavy on code. It's not like something super complex. Complex. I try to keep things simple. But yeah, like the web app. It's integrated on the main website, so you can log in, have your dashboard, make your
Yeah,
application, and manage everything from one place.
right. So the client actually gets to log in and have a dashboard, and
Yeah,
I guess maybe like see progress updates about how
yeah,
things are going.
yeah.
That's pretty sick. What's it built on? Like, what's the back end?
Yeah, so currently it's mostly no code tools with some code, custom code, some uh, I would say it's low code. It's not fully like proprietary technology.
Hmm.
But yeah, I also decided to do it that way because, like I said, it's not super technologically complex. So the main thing, is in terms of process, and be able to really nail the process, and make people happy, both as users and service providers, like in this case, the lawyers.
I see on the bottom of the page it says building in San Francisco and Lisbon, and just makes me think about, would you say that at this point Lisbon is the number one tech hub in Europe?
I wouldn't say it's the main one, the main tech hub itself. Uh, I think specifically for crypto, it is. I would say it's one of the main crypto tech hubs globally, and I think it's gonna become also the main general tech hub in maybe 5 to 10 years. But currently, I think it's still behind.
What do you what are like the top three or top five tech hubs in Europe? How would you rank them?
I would say probably London, Berlin, in no specific order. Maybe Paris, um, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Also, Madrid and Barcelona, they are great. I think the Barcelona ecosystem is a little stronger than the one in Madrid.
Really?
Uh,
Oh, then Madrid.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you
But
think stronger, Barcelona or Lisboa?
I think for crypto, definitely Lisboa. In general, I would say right now they are pretty much on the same level. I would say. I
Mm,
haven't spent a lot of time in Barcelona, so I don't know, but from my perception, I would say they are leveled. Yeah.
very cool. Um, another random question, but are you guys gonna get into like tax services as well, or are you guys like? Obviously I know you guys are focused on executing on residency stuff too. What are your thoughts on taking things in like a tax advisor direction as well?
Yeah, honestly, that's something I'm not sure about because right now, like I said, the lawyers that are doing the Portuguese residency, some of them they are also able to help you with the tax filings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I'm not really sure that's something we want to focus on, especially advisory. Like I don't think we should do advisory and we shouldn't do consultation because in the end we become consultancy and that doesn't have software level margins. Uh, definitely it's a service that we want to refer you to the best service providers,
Hmm.
but right now I don't think that's something that we would specialize on.
Gotcha. And then what about, so people sign up with you, they get the residency in Portugal, they are going to have to file annual tax returns. Are they doing it through your law firm, or do you refer people, or how do they do that?
Yeah, we refer people to lawyers that are able to do it. In some cases lawyers we work with, uh, we honestly we haven't had that many cases yet because we have only been working on this for 1 year. I started working on this 1 year ago.
Hmm.
It's not even 1 year since the first client got onboarded, so that's not something that we have been working on a lot. But yeah, like I said, some of the lawyers we work with, they are also able to provide that service. And we are, still exploring if it makes sense to include it in our subscription or just to say, hey, you have this separate service that you can purchase. And so, they deal directly with the lawyers because, definitely that's something that we don't want to build out from scratch on our platform, so that's gonna be outside of the Baseflow platform.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I'm not sure if you released this information, but how many people have you successfully helped with Portuguese residency at this point?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a bunch of them. Like I said, I was my first client. We have some people from Colombia that are also like founders. Some remote workers from Nigeria. A bunch of remote workers from Spain, and that's something that I'm really excited about. Like helping people that are currently freelancers or remote workers in Spain make the move to Portugal because I really think that is. Like really frictionless, and the advantages are really good, especially in the first year. um so yeah, that's those are like uh the main nationalities we have people from, also Italy, Germany, France, the Netherlands. Yeah.
I'm really excited about this model. I think it's definitely the future. Are there any other topics that are sort of related to what we've been talking about that you think I should have doubled down on, or things that you'd be excited to talk about?
No, I think we talked uh pretty much about everything. I think it was great.
Awesome, man. Well, I guess at this point in time, tell everyone how they can find you, how they can sign up with Baseflow, and yeah, just promote what you got going on.
Yeah, so they can find it at baseflow.io, also at baseflow on Twitter. We are trying to be active there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, like my personal website is reco.us, reco.us, and then on Twitter also at Alex Recouso. So yeah, if they have like any doubts, if they have any questions before getting on board, they can personally reach out to me. I would be happy to help them and get them on board.
Sweet. Alex Recouso, baseflow.io is the website. Alex, I thought a fun way to end the episode is I've never really heard the Galician dialect or language before, and I thought maybe you could say something like, uh, "This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast" in Galician, and send us out that way.
Okay, okay, I'll try to do it. It's pretty similar to Portuguese, so it's probably gonna sound Portuguese at this point. But yeah, let's go. Um, este foi outro episodio de My Latin Life podcast.
Este foi,
Este foi
este foi
outro.
outro episódio.
Yeah.
Love it, bro. Well, dude, Alex, thank you for joining us. Super appreciated it. By the way, I should get you in touch with our buddy Jamie Ramos, who's a Mexican guy of Galician ancestry. I think you guys would get along as well. He's
Yeah,
in
I
the
met him.
space.
I met him in Lisbon too.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah, when he was in Lisbon. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. We actually Jamie and I partied when I was in Lisbon. We went out literally like the night of his flight. He was flying down to Paraguay. He had like a 5 a.m. flight, and so I brought him to the club, and we partied until whatever 3 a.m. or something, and then he just Ubered back to his hotel, packed up, and then headed straight to the airport.
That's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, Alex, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This was a fun episode, and we'll continue to support each other in the future.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.